Alright, guys. I already hate myself for even making this preparation part, let alone not even doing the recording or anything yet, so it's gonna suck and screw you guys in advance because holy shit, this was a lot. Alright. I'm doing it based off 2015 as Kenna basically, suggested. Alright. Boss pets were added to the game, guys. Yep, that means everything you kill, you can now get a mini version of it. The main thing is that there is a new monthly destruction and disaster called Giant Oyster. You have to do the quest Beneath the Cursed Tides. I actually suggest you do this because it gives you Clue Scroll Elite tier rewards. So you have the chance of getting basically really good rewards from that. And then it also gives you some farming and fishing XP. It's only done monthly. You can get monthly resets, but you can do it twice a month. But it's worth doing. On to the next one. Aquarium and Minigame Spotlight. Most of y'all already know about the Aquarium. Most of y'all know about the Minigame Spotlight. Basically, the minigames are dead, so they added Taylor to it. So now you can do any minigame and get rewards from any other minigame. And they spotlight one here and there, and people typically do the spotlight ones, and that's about it. Perf also got waterfall fishing. It's the stackable fishing. It's AFK. It's fastest XP rates, all that crap. Tusco was added to the game. Here's something finally actually worth it. You want to get the sacrifice ability. You want to get devotion ability. Trust me, devotion is very heavily needed. You also can get the Tusco's wrath ability. This is actually really good. You can do up to 15k damage on Slayer assignments. It's pretty OP. But the Devotion is definitely the most important sacrifice. If you kill the monster right when you use it, it heals you for whatever you killed it for. You also can get Mass Cap ability codexes. They're about 33 mil each right now. The main two that are the most helpful are Corruption Blast and Corruption Shot. Christ, guys, it's giving me a day. Onslaught is actually pretty okay. All the rest kind of useless, whatever. Those are actually given to you from raids. Raids was added to the game. Lots of achievements. Good luck, escapers. Basically, the raids, they give you what's called Acha armor. It's honestly useless, unimportant armor that nobody uses anymore. The main thing are those Mass Cap ability codexes. Look at all those achievements, you are screwed. Invention was added in 2016. It's an elite skill, level 120. Gizmos are added to yours. This I should probably talk a little bit more slower and about, but basically with Invention, you, let's just pull up RuneScape real fast. Let's see here. If I go to my equipment, you augment your armor. You basically level up Invention. You can augment your stuff. You can add gizmos to this. For instance, biting, a plus 2% chance per rank to critically hit. Basically, makes me do more damage. Undead Slayer, 7% additional Slayer to Undead. Guess what? That's fantastic on, Necromancy, because you're usually killing Undead. Relentless 5, Crackling 4, if you guys want to know the best of those. Basically, you need to Google what the best perks are and stuff, but it also made it where anything that Invention, when you augment stuff, anything that was degradable now doesn't degrade to dust anymore. You just lose charges. Charges, you say. Guess what? You need to do freaking divination in order to make divine charges, or just buy them off the Grand Exchange. It also gave us the ability to do things like, there are fishing rods that you can use perks on for Invention to give you increased skilling XP, that kind of crap. There's an Invention guild where you can have an auto disassembler and auto alker. If you've done the Fort Front 3 crap, which we'll get to later, you can do that all from here. So, for instance, auto out stuff, auto and disassemble stuff, because you have to disassemble stuff in order to train your freaking Invention and whatnot. So that's that. Let's move on. If you have more questions, you ask me in game. God Wars Dungeon 2 in Reputation, so this is more for PvMers. Basically, your kill count doesn't vanish, and the higher your multiplier, the more it counts. You know, if it's 300%, it means 1 kill counts for 3. Boss kills can give you seals that you can use for more reputation. That's not the only way to get reputation. If you want to, like, there's reputation. It's gained from aggression fragments, dropped enemy faction members, blah, 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 blah. Basically, the seals that you get from killing bosses, you can't hand in to that guy. You have to hand in to somebody else. So if you're killing Vindicta, which would be the, if you're killing Vindicta, you can't use the seals on the Vindicta guy. You have to use it on, the freaking Twin Fury guy, so on and so forth. So basically, kill one, you can get reputation in another. So take turns killing the same 2 bosses or whatever if you want to level up the reputation on those. So why get reputation? Well, it increases your drop rate increase. The bosses, the God Wars 2 bosses, they drop what's considered tier 85 loot. It's tier 90 accuracy, but tier 80 damage. It's actually still like considered tier 3 stuff. I mean, the weapons are dirt cheap, but they're actually pretty good. Telos gets added. He's a harder boss with 4 to 5 phases. 4 phases from 0 to 100% rage. 100% and higher is the 5th phase. The higher your rage is just your increased drop rate. You can actually do pretty much get any of the drops at any enrage. It's just, if you always do 1% or 2% enrage, it's like 500 kills for a drop, whereas at like 9999% enrage, it's like 10 kills for a drop. Basically, the only thing that's worth it anymore is the Sarah God bow. The Stepslisk is garbage. The Zeros God sword is garbage. The Reprisal Codex ability I actually don't have, but I hear it's not awful to have. But basically, the Sarah God bow is what you want. The Ark and Uncharted Islands. This is basically every completionist's worst nightmare. Travel the lands, get more ports rewards. Assuming you guys know what player-owned ports are, they unlock. There's more rewards you can get from doing the Ark. The islands do have some good high tier and great XP rates for skilling. It's actually worth doing if you're trying to get like 120s and stuff like fishing and woodcutting. Especially if you do the weeklies and dailies. There's a whole bunch more with who gives a crap. Skilling pets right out of the game. Yay! Congratulations. Now you can get a pet at, 200 mil XP or 2 mil XP. It just depends. You get lucky. Next, Angel of Death. Basically, next 2.0. Because why not make the same boss but harder? Basically, same drops as normal next at faster rates. Plus, there's something that you can get called an Ancient Emblem. It's used for making what's considered worthless content now, but it does have a high GP per hour rate on just regular drops, so a lot of people still kill next Angel of Death. At the time, the Ancient Defender and Repriser were pretty broken OP, and a lot of people still use them because high-level bosses, you need stuff like that. But compared to getting that versus just buying, like, Corporal Sigils is, yeah. Anyways, skill cape perks. Yay, now 99 capes have abilities, or perks, I guess I should say. An example, 99 cooking, you wear the 99 cooking cape, you'll never burn food. Look up the others yourself. Shuttered Worlds. It's a dungeon of distraction where you can earn what's called anima. You can buy it from what's considered a traveling merchant. It's a different D&D, but Shadow Worlds takes maybe 30 minutes to 2 hours to get all the anima you needed for some of the abilities, at least for like 1 to 2 abilities. The main one you need is Bladed Dive. Greater Dazing Shot is another good one. The others I don't even have yet because they're pretty much useless. I hear Salt in the Wood can be good, but whatever. Minifos, a whole new area. Yep, a whole new city and everything. As well as player-owned Slayer dungeons. Well, Minifos, there's a lot to it. You basically just want to gain reputation in all factions. It gives you increased rewards. It has some decent skilling areas. Lots of quests involved. Lots of completionist crap involved. The main thing that came out of it that was actually worth your time was the player-owned Slayer dungeons, which I guess there is the ability to craft soul runes is there too, but that also requires a lot more quests. But the player-owned Slayer dungeons, basically you get something called a Nushapti, and you can keep those in your inventory when you're doing Slayer tasks. You kill the Slayer monsters. The weaker they are, the higher your chance you the higher rate of getting the souls trapped. So basically, if it's gemstone dragons, you'll kill like 3,000 and still never get a single soul. Once you get the souls trapped in the shop there, you put them in the player owned Slayer dungeon, and now you can basically just have them in your little their own little neat area where you can go and kill them in your dungeon. It's basically used for AFK grinding, but people have made fantastic GP rates there because they do still have all their drops. Magister and Lost Grove. Magister is the dead boss now. You have to pay for keys to the crossings to kill them. They cost more than you'll ever make in loot. You can literally buy 10 keys and make no money. People basically just use him as a DPS dummy boss now because he's so easy to kill and stupid that you can just practice getting fast damage per second outputs on him. They added urns to this game, or that everybody's had urns, but now they're stackable, and you can also get an item called Brooch of the Gods that can store up to 1,000 of each urn. Makes skilling of all kinds super fast, super easy, especially if you get the Brooch of the Gods. The Lost Grove was added. It is the best Slayer XP here. I say that at least. They've added something new since then, but basically Slayer XP there is fantastic. And when on a Slayer task, they drop 2 fantastic items. One is called an Ancient Elven Ritual Shard, which restores 375 prayer points over... it's basically 75 prayer points every 6 seconds, 5 times, and then it's a 5-minute cooldown. And then Cinderbanes, which is basically typically the best in slot gloves for any boss you can poison, because it basically just poisons them and it has a high damage buff. Moving on, deep sea fishing and Solak. Deep sea fishing is a new fishing area. This is where the traveling merchant shows up. You will need to use a friend's chat to find it, because good luck, having it on your own. Sells out random rewards you can buy, such as the Animus Shards, Reaper Points, Livid Farm Points. Yeah, because everybody hates Livid Farm. Solak was also added to the game. This is 2017. I don't know if you guys have noticed the dates at the top left when it changes. But anyways, it is a group boss that is now soloable. I still have not done it. I haven't bothered trying to learn this boss. He will also drop the Ritual Shard and Cinderbanes at low rates. But he also drops what's called the Blightbound crossbows. I think they're typically the highest tier crossbow you can get, but nobody uses crossbows since the new ranged update. And crossbows are basically dead content. His main drop now is the Erythor's Grimoire, whatever the heck you say it. Basically, it's only good because its set effect is every non-bleed hit has a 12% chance to become a critical hit. It stacks with other things. It also makes your damage cap go from 12,000 to 15,000. So basically, it's like the best in slot, especially for melee. But it's basically a fantastic pocket slot item. Moving on, Elite Dungeons, ED1 and ED2. Temple of Omnishi is 1. Dragonkin Laboratory is 2. Temple of Omnishi. So basically the way the Elite Dungeons work is you fight through monsters to get to a boss. There's 3 total bosses, so you'll fight through an area to get to one boss, then you'll fight through another area to get to another boss, and then fight through an area to get to the third boss. There are mini bosses along the way. The mini bosses can give you 5k dungeon tokens. People will grind ED1 up to boss 1 just for those tokens. Basically, it's not worth doing ED1. The best drop now is the Ancient Scales, and that's only because of the newest updates, but Ancient Scales are the main thing. They also have a Sea Singer and Tetsu upgrade kits. Those are kind of useless and worthless. All Elite Dungeons have relic drops. They have common, uncommon, and rare. 1k, 25k, 1 mil respectively. You can only alch it. You could disassemble. A lot of people disassemble the 1k ones for the components you can get for Invention. Dragonkin 2 actually is one of the best for drops because the first boss drops the Greater Flurry, the second boss drops the Greater Fury, and the third boss drops the Greater Barge. Greater Barge is fantastic. Greater Fury is the best of the 3. Greater Flurry isn't bad at all. You can actually make some good money doing that one, plus the bone drops and the high drops. Moving on. Player-owned farms. Grow your own animals. Yep. If you want copper trim comp, you'll have to grow every breed, including shiny. That can be a pain in the butt. I've already done it. Ha ha ha. It's fantastic broken XP. I mean, they've nerfed this and it's still stupid fast. You can trade in your animals to get beans, which you can use to upgrade the farm. Once you upgrade all the way, I would sink them all into the Instagrow pots. I did fruit trees. There's cactus ones, but basically they increased her farming to 120. We'll get to that later. And if you stack up a ton of those beans and a ton of those Instagrow pots, then when double XP comes out, you can get insane OP rates. If you want to max out your beans, you would sell the animals at adolescence, or execute as I say. If you want best XP, grow them to elder. Alchemical Onyx. The reason this only has its own is because it is something that you can get, especially when you're doing Reaper tasks. I don't know if I've covered Reaper tasks, but basically you can go talk to Grimm, and he will give you a little Grimm gem, which you can use to get a Reaper task. I will just show that real quick because I don't think I've gotten mine for today. Grimm gem. Oh, I have. So, and basically you just get an assignment minus to kill Zuck. You can also add this little toolbar up here so you can see how many Reaper points you have. If you click this, you can see what your Slayer task is. So I have 5 dragons left in my Slayer task. But basically, you the reason I have these pointed out is because when you make one of these, you can create what's called a Luck of the Dwarves and Grace of the Elves. Grace of the Elves is a necklace that stores porters. I think it can store up to 500 porters, so it's super great for AFK skilling. The Luck of the Dwarves is a tier 4 luck ring. There are ability codexes you can create. I don't have either, but I hear Ingenuity of the Humans is great. Basically, it just guarantees your next attack will hit. So for bosses where you have slow hit percentage, it can be useful when you're about to use it before using an ultimate. Mining a Smither had a rework in 2019, and you want to make Masterwork armor. Or guess what? You want to make Trimmed Masterwork armor. Because Trimmed Masterwork armor does not degrade in elite dungeons. Basically meaning it doesn't use up any charges, so it saves you a little bit of money and cost to upgrade to upkeep your weapons and armor in elite dungeons. It also has a set effect where basically in short you take less damage for every piece you're wearing. It's fantastic for melee. It's a melee armor set. Stone Spirits in ED3. Yeah, they added something called Stone Spirits. They are the freaking most annoying drop you'll get. They added them to like every single thing's drop table. Everything freaking drops these Stone Spirits. From crap to great. I guess they're good at high level when you're mining stuff that has that, like, for instance, light enema rock is a type of rock you got. You can mine now to make Elder Rune, and they're like 3k each. So when you buy like a Stone Spirit that's like 400 GP, you'll get 2 ores instead of 1. That's what it does. It gives you 2 ores instead of 1. That's what the Stone Spirits do. But they add them to every drop table, and you can't disassemble them. You can't sell them on, I mean, you can sell them on the Grand Exchange, but there's so many of them, they're worth like nothing. ED3, Shadow Reef. This is one of the harder of the ED3s. There's one mini boss in it at the very beginning called Bossy McBossface. He spawns like 1 in 50 freaking trips now because they keep nerfing it all. But he drops a 38 mil weapon. Yeah, I pointed out because he's the first mini boss of them all to actually have a drop. It's got 3 normal bosses, but guess what? The first 2 don't have drops, unlike ED2. So the only one that actually gives you anything worth crap is the 3rd boss, Ambassador, and he drops the Eldritch crossbow pieces, and that is the top tier crossbow. Most people pretty much just throw it into one of their necklace because there's a necklace now that you can put special attacks in, and it has a good special attack, but it's pretty much a useless crossbow. Anachronia and 120 Herblore and 120 Farm. Huge update to the game. They added agility course that you can make money actually leveling up agility. If you don't want to do it, I would suggest you buy the rewards, or at the very least buy Double Surge, because Double Surge and Double Escape are fantastic updates. They added Big Game Hunter, basically hunt dinos. Eventually you can get a melee weapon that's now worth like 50 mil. It's supposed to be like top tier melee if you're fighting ranged. They added range out of time, so guess what, now you're 120 farm, you can grow dinos. More XP rates. The dinos will supply items that are essential for the 120 Herblore. Basically, they have things like dinosaur roars, which allow you to make vulnerability bombs. Basically, you throw the vulnerability bomb on the boss that you're fighting, and now it's weak. You know, it applies the vulnerability effect, so you don't need to switch to lunar spells to pop vulnerability and swap back to whatever spell you were going to use or whatever. So yeah, there's things called power bursts as well. Basically, lots of herb upgrades, lots of farm updates, so on and so forth. More level trees, more fun. Yeah. You can look it up yourself. 2020 Wars Retreat. Basically, this was a great update for people who do bossing. The more bosses you've killed, the better your upgrades are. Once you have all the upgrades, eventually you have it where you can put 2 portals. Let's just go ahead and do it. Here's the teleport. So at 10 boss kills, you get the teleport. If you don't have it, you got to go to Draenor. But basically, it gives you this gigantic altar of war. When you pray at it, any abilities get instantly reset. It restores your prayer. It restores your summoning points. There are these adrenaline crystals you can get full adrenaline at. You can set 2 portals to whatever boss you want. Any new bosses they add to the game automatically get added here. Your Reaper task automatically gets added here, so it would take me to Zuck if I go there. Pretty fantastic little place. Also, the guy over here, the guy right here, he sells you the upgrades, but he also sells you auras that you may not have unlocked yet, such as these. And then he also gives you consumables, so you can do aura refreshes, and then you can also get life refreshes. Pretty great place for bossing. Made bossing super easy. Archaeology. New skill. Yep, unlocked a lot of area, a lot of abilities. It's a must-do for completionists. Good luck, completionists. You got a lot with it. You can put on relics. So, like, for instance, I have 100% adrenaline because I have a relic that makes it where outside of combat, my adrenaline goes back to 100%. I also have a relic that makes it where I do more damage. There's relics that make you have more HP. Blah, 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 blah. It's good for skilling in PvM because there is a relic that makes it where, like, your pouches when you're doing rune crafting don't degrade. Stuff like that. They also added ancient pouches or ancient summoning. You will want to do this. The ancient familiars are absolutely fantastic. I will go ahead and show you a few of them. So the Ripper Demon is the best you can get. It does the most damage whether you're doing melee or not, whether the boss you're fighting is even weak to melee or not. It's fantastic. The Reaper Demon makes it where healing you do, it damages the target extra. The Hellhound is basically fantastic if you're fighting a boss that hits really hard and you're not great at, like, prayer flicks or dodging the attacks. It will take 20% of all damage. Then there is Calgarian Demon. Some people use this one. Basically, it makes your critical hits higher chance. There's another one called the Water Fiend, and that one is essential for doing archaeology because it increases your archaeology skilling rates and stuff. There's also new potion recipes, and then there's also ancient invention. There's artifact weapons like the Masterwork Spear of Annihilations, stuff like that. Moving on. Rockshaw and construction contracts. Rockshaw is a sorry, I got distracted. Rockshaw is a boss that I actually enjoy now. It took me a long time to learn. He has really great drops. These boots have kind of dropped in price because they are more common, but basically they're all best in slot boots. I think they can all be upgraded nowadays. I'm not gonna, don't quote me on that. But then he also drops the Greater Ricochet, which as you can see is still almost worth 1 bill. The Greater Chain, which is still worth 600 mil. The Greater, or the Divert, and a Shadow Spike. So basically, the Greater Ricochet makes it where your Ricochet ability for range can hit now like 3 more enemies or something. So it's fantastic for AoE. Same with Greater Chain does the same thing. It's just not as great as Greater Ricochet. Construction contracts are now the best construction XP an hour. I haven't done very many of them, but I think it's needed for completionists. So good luck, people. 2021, they came out with Elder God Wars, City of Siniston. Basically new spells, new bosses, new skilling and training areas. You can get things that are troves. They have tiers, tier 1, 2, 3 troves. You can get more loot from them just from scaling or bossing. A lot of times, I will show you real fast what a lot of people do. So, for instance, I can go to one of the areas. So, a lot of people, they'll get a single kill on a boss called Croesus. That's at the Elder City. And when you teleport there, I guess I'll talk a little bit more while my guy walks over there. You, oops, I went too far. Anyways, he, well, I need to go back, son of a gun. Okay, I'm back. Anyways, it look, bam, I got a trove, and I have the tier 3, and it gave me this item, which is worth 72k. Sometimes you get an item that's worth 8 mil. So a lot of people will just do that every 10 minutes because I think you can get them every 10 minutes. Back to this, they have books now that you can put in your pocket slots. I will show you that. See, Scripture of Wind. These books all have their own specific effect. They take pages to recharge them. You can get the pages from those little troves and so on and so forth. You did get 4 new ancient spells. This is, I think you have to do certain archaeology levels to get these all. Animate Dead is broken if you're doing magic, especially if you're using this Crypt Bloom. Smoke Cloud is pretty good. Incite Fear is fantastic. Exsanguate is fantastic. So just as a thing, Exsanguate is this one, and it is the best 1v1 magic spell, and then Incite Fear is the best AoE magic spell. It's actually, I think, considered better for bossing than Exsanguate in most cases, but it has a very costly upkeep. I mean, the amount of runes you will go through using that is ridiculous. So they also added Croesus is a new skilling boss. It is a skilling boss. You typically need 4 people minimum. It is possible to do with 2 people minimum, but the amount of time it would take to get a kill with 2 people is twice the amount of time it would take to do it with 4 people, and at 4 people you already get the max loot chance you can get. It drops the Croesus stuff, like so the Foul Torch, Spore Hammer, Spore Sack. I'm not going to get into those too much. But the armor are these, and that's the one that gives it where it's a 60% reduction of all damage taken. Or the armor actually increases your damage reduction already. Once you do that with Animate Dead, it's 60%. It's fantastic. Zuck has these drops, which is the Scriptureful and Magma Tempest. If I'm not mistaken, your chances of the Magma Tempest are super small. I think he has another drop. It's his sword. I actually got it cut off here. His sword is actually pretty great. It's a fantastic melee weapon. But the Igneous Stone is what you need to be. You need to do it. It's basically like the fight killing. You need to do the waves and then kill the boss in one sitting, and you get the Igneous Stone. You use that on your killing capes, and guess what? Now ultimates cost 60% of run. It's a super OP update. You definitely want to get that. 2022, yeah, we're speeding along now. I'm just merging everything together. I'm over it. Het's Oasis, Extinction, Zamrock, Lord of Chaos. So basically the Duel Arena's gone and Het's Oasis is here. They have some AFK farm skilling areas, some good hunter training. You can create something called Penance Powder, which gives you the effects of the Penance Aura for 30 minutes. Extinction was a quest to unlock Zami. It also gave you access to a place called Dream of Iaea, as well as an enriched Pontifex ring. The ring gives you increased damage, and it levels up your trolls in the Godwars dungeon. Blah, 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 blah. Basically, Zamrock's a high-level boss. Just the normal loot. Killing them, you can get like 200 mil an hour. It's stupid broken. His main drops are all of this. I have the Chaos Roar. It's actually pretty great. I plan to get these vestments. They're all melee upgrades, honestly. And melee is kind of dead content, so that's why their prices are so low, despite the boss being like kind of hard and whatnot. He does drop though Bow of the Last Guardian, and there's a reason that one's worth bills. Is because just to make these 3 together, it's like 3 bill to make that, and that's because range isn't dead, melee is, but fantastic boss drops. Fresh Start Worlds and Wieldy Flash events. Fresh Start Worlds does not pertain to you guys. I just want to brag because it was one of my favorite events they've ever done. Made a new account, leveled it up, had increased XP rates. It's also how I have reverse skill capes. You guys may not have noticed, but my farm cape is 120 farming, and it's inverted. Wieldy Flash events basically the wilderness is safe now. No more dangers in the wilderness other than the monsters. There's no PvP. They used to have a danger meter, meaning the longer you were there, the harder it got to survive there. And it was broken. It didn't work right, so they got rid of it. Go do those Flash events. They have great rewards. They have great XP. If you want to know more, look it up yourself. 2023. Hey, we're out this year. Jagex Accounts, Fort Friend 3, Necromancy Hero Pass. Jagex basically forcing everybody to make a Jagex account. They realized that 90% of their players were all had multiple accounts, so they were like, let's just make one account that they log into, and you can access it whatever account you want to actually play on. Very few upgrades for doing it. They did make it where, like, if you do your Jagex account, you have a longer AFK timeout. Fort Front 3 is a beast of upgrades. I should go into depth a bit more. Basically, just go to the fort, upgrade it, level it up as you can. Just upgrade the fort. Just upgrade it, learn it as you upgrade it. It's basically going to be the new place everybody goes for double XP weekends to drop down skilling stuff. Necromancy is the new combat style. Even if they've nerfed it, it's still broken OP. If you want to get into that a little bit more, that's still new. You can go learn on that one. Hero Pass was the worst thing they've ever added to the game. They've apologized relentlessly for doing it. They changed it. It's still crap. They still have it. Who knows what's going to happen with it. Now let's get to the part where it actually is probably worth your time. And yes, these are phone screenshots. I was driving and I was taking screenshots because I was already trying to plan this stupid freaking video in my head. Okay. Ancient Curses, Saren Skilling Spells, unlocked from the Light Within quest. Those are probably worth getting. I don't use, honestly, any of those. But I hear Lightform can be great. Auras can be bought with loyalty points. A Brooch of the Gods. This is mentioned earlier. You're going to want to get a Brooch of the Gods. Grace of the Elves. You're going to want to get that too. That's fantastic. We brought that up. Stores 500. Porter also randomly spawns Saren Spirits. Incense Sticks. I have not touched this. This is honestly a fantastic upgrade to everything. You need to get Incense Sticks. They are expensive to buy. They're not that expensive to make. Probably worth buying over making. But basically, for instance, Torchstool Incense Sticks boost experience gained in all skills up to 2%. I'm not sure if this works with Necromancy right now as it's released. I've been told it does. There is one that makes it where your poison does more damage. There's some that makes it where your potions last longer than like 6 minutes. It'll be like 7.5 minutes. Yeah. Get Incense Sticks of all kinds. Look them up. Invention devices, Divine Omatic Vacuum converts empty charges to divine charges when you're training divination. Basically, it's a weapon you can hold when you're doing divination. Fishing accumulator, mining accumulator, those things are helpful. Fishing rod automatic, I would not suggest you fish with anything other than a fishing rod automatic. Flat pack, depack gear, stuff like that. One more page, last page. Perfect Juju potions. These have been around, but I would suggest you make Perfect Plus potions. Perfect Plus potions are essential if you're trying to do fast Croesus kills. They have like a 4-hour timeout, so you drink one dose, it lasts for 4 hours, and it increases your level by like, I don't know, like 12 or 20 or something for all skilling, or for all skills that are skilling skills, like all gathering skills. So it's really great if you're trying to level up any of your gathering skills. You drink a dose of Perfect Plus potions. I would suggest you make those. Power bursts are tradable and provide powerful benefits that last a few seconds. For instance, there is one called a power burst of, let's go back here. Loading pages. You can actually turn those off, but I don't. Power burst of vitality. For 6 seconds, it doubles your current life points. It's freaking great if you messed up some, like a mechanic on a boss, like you know you messed up, you're about to tank like a 16k hit, you can drink that, and you'll be able to survive it. There's also like this one, makes it where your familiar special moves no longer cost special move points. It's not that great. I use it here and there. Vulnerability bombs, we spoke of those. You can throw it, it makes the monster you attack to vulnerable for a while. There's also sticky bombs. You throw it, it binds them. That's actually probably worth using in some situations. That's why I have a few. Power burst acceleration reduces the cooldown of your surge, dive, and bladed dive abilities. You really don't need that if you have double dive or double surge and double surge and double escape. Here's the Powder of Penance that I spoke of. There is one called Power Burst of Sorcery, which makes it when you craft runes, your runes per essence multiplier is doubled. So that's great if you're doing rune crafting. I already said Grace of the Elves, but Skill Champas consume They basically give you increased XP for gathering skills, so you get extra XP. They are obtained through farming Chinchampas at the player-owned farm. Scrimshaws are fantastic, but people don't use them only for melee, and it's only the vampirism Scrimshaw. Some people do use like the tree shaking one when they're doing wood cutting. Skilling offhands. Artificer's Measure is also very needed if you're doing Croesus. It is also fantastic if you're leveling up construction or crafting. The Fire Torch is when Croesus drops. It's great for wood cutting. It basically burns the logs you get. Tagus Core Hammer is great. It gives you faster mining rates. It's also a Croesus drop. Water Fiend Familiars gives a 5% chance to duplicate and store up to 20 items. Resources gained from archaeology, fishing, divination, mining, and woodcutting. Its special move banks all items it has stored, so it's fantastic for skilling other than just archaeology, but most people use it for archaeology. And I believe that should be all. That's pretty much everything of worth note. I will go through my inventory real quick. So here is Trimm Masterwork. Here is Kurt Bloom. I don't have necessarily the top tier range stuff. This is the top tier, one of the top tier, not the top tier, but one of the top tier combat setups for melee. You'll want to get this thing called the Abyssal Scourge. It basically makes it where if you wear this with this helmet, the Jaws of the Abyss, it basically makes your bleeds do massive damage. It also makes your bleeds last longer. You'll need an offhand with it. Well, typically people use the Dark Ice Sliver because the upgrade version costs like, I don't know, 400 mil plus, maybe something like that. This is the unupgraded version. It costs like 20 mil, and it makes it where you can use Hurricane while dual wielding. So it allows you to use a 2-wield ability while dual wielding. These are the things I was talking about earlier. Essence of Finality. I would suggest you get these. I don't remember how much they cost. Probably 100 to 200 mil each. But you can put in special attacks. So for instance, I have the Claw spec in my melee one. And so basically I can use the special attack of Dragon Claws while I'm using any other melee weapon. For instance, with my magic, I have the Guthix staff spec in it, which makes it where I can use that special ability without having to switch to the weapon. It's just a necklace you can wear. It also already has like the top tier damage bonuses for all styles. So that's essential. There's also something you can smith in mine now called armor spikes, and they would go here. So you would put your rune pouch, because you can put runes in a pouch now. You put your rune pouches here if you're doing magic. If you're doing melee, you do armor spikes, and it makes it where when a monster attacks you, the spikes poke the monster and they do damage to the monster. So it's an extra damage buff. Let's see. I think I've pretty much covered the majority of things. There's also Elder Overloads now. It's basically an upgrade to Overloads. There's replenishment pots. It's basically adrenaline potions. Here are those Spirit Weed Incense. Increases a familiar summoning spell recovery rate, meaning my familiar will do more attacks over time, essentially. There's Quorum. There's Lantidine. There's new food. A blue blubber. You eat it. It doesn't drain adrenaline, so these are really great to bring. Obviously, you still need normal food in case you're dying really fast. Wormfire potions. I mean, these are things you get from the Elder God Wars, and it can be used to repair and upgrade stuff. Here are the things you can get from raising and growing the dragons. You can get Bottled Dinosaur Roars. You can get Dinosaur Claws, Spark Titan, Beak Snot. They're all used to make those power bursts and those bombs. I mean, that's pretty much the gist of it all. Here's some of those stone spirits. I only keep like the high tier ones. I will go here real fast. Fort Fern 3. So just as a quick show, they have now these types of bars. And these types of bars. So like in order to make a concentrated ally, well, I have to go to the furnace, but so here's where you can make armor spikes. Here's where you can make your masterwork. You can also make things like the pickaxe of earth and song and Tiger's core hammer here. If I go to the furnace, here are the ores they added. So like for instance, in order to make an elder rune bar, I need light animica and dark animica. In order to make a concentrated ally bar, I need at least one of every type of freaking bar. So basically I need to make every single type of bar to make one of these. And then in order to make one of these, I need 5 of those. In order to make one of these, I need 10 of those. So making Trimm Masterwork is going to be a pain because you got to make a whole bunch of these. And then you got to make a thing called Glorious Bars and blah, 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 blah. And if you didn't notice, yes, you can store all your ores and all your bars in here now. That makes life pretty easy. So, yep, I think that covers pretty much everything. I've already spent 2 hours on this. I'm not spending any more time. If you have any actual questions, hit me up in game or Discord. If you have any questions about boss rotations, that's to be done in game. Deuces.